Hello, welcome to my 3D Music channel. This is part 7 of Cypher Prop video series. To recap from the last chapter, we learned how to do modeling in Maya. We did like base modeling. Fuck. Hello, welcome to my 3D Music channel. This is part 7 of my sci-fi prop video series. We are modeling a sci-fi grenade. To recap from the last chapter, we learned how to use duplicate special and instance to create various geometry. Today we're going to finish the excuse me. Today we're going to finish the basic modeling and we're going to start adding details, and we try to finish in this chapter. Let's get started. So this is what we add from the last chapter. It looks pretty good. We add a lot of details and it's going to pop up more for sure, and we could add a lot of texturing detail as well. So now what I'm going to do, I'm trying to break this piece even further at the bottom, then we can go from there. As a rule of thumb, I always work on one side and I usually duplicate on other sides. That's how I usually work. So I'm going on one side. So so before I'm doing that, what I'm going to do, since we're going to add a lot of details, so I'm going to subdivide it once. So now I have a nice smooth geo. I'm going to go on delete all of the faces, and now I'm going to add some details in here. Let's see what we can do it. So I'm trying to add some kind of like a panel lines that would create some kind of like a sci-fi detail. Let's go here. So add a bevel. So I'm going to hit point pi. Then I'm going to go here and pull on a little bit. So as I noticed, I haven't selected all the faces, so I'm going to do that now. And pull this a little bit in. So now it kind of added the detail, but still, if you see, it kind of did this at the top. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to collapse at the top, so it's kind of quad instead of triangle. So I'm going to go to the component mode. So just pull it in. So now if I smooth it, we're gonna get some kind of like this. So I'm going to add some loops in here. So when we smooth it, it's going to be adding some details like here. But as a rule of thumb, what I actually do is I try to subdivide after I UV it, because it's going to be easier and it's not really dense. So I'm also going to add some other detail as well. So I'm going to pull this a little bit in and scale it down. So now if I smooth it, it's going to have this kind of like a detail in here. So I'm going to add a loop in here, and that will help. So that detail didn't hold up that good. So what I'm going to do is, in order to get so in order to fix that, I usually do a supporting loop, and then you pull it in, so the geo holds up really good. Now you can see it. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going here, I'm going to delete that piece. So I'm going to extrude it and scale it down, so we have a loop there. So now I go here and extrude it in. So now if I do it, so we're gonna have this detail on there. To make it a little bit interesting, we could add something like that. So it's gonna have some shapes and it kind of looks like sci-fi. That's what we really needed. My throat is really dry, so I'm keep on clearing it. So to make this, so since we don't have I'm trying to add kind of like a supporting loop, so it edit the piece. So when I smooth it, once I have it here, so I'm just adding a supporting loop. So what this will does is it doesn't create any kind of shape. It's gonna give a sharp edge. Do you see the difference between here and here? That's what I'm trying to do. So now I'm going to go here, same thing. So I'm going to do the edge, and I'm going to do the same thing here as well. So once I have it, boom, right there. So it kind of adds some kind of details in there. So that's what we wanted, and it added pretty good. So we could also add one more detail in here if you want. But I'm going to do on the other side, but I'm going to show what exactly I'm going to do with this piece. So this one, I'm kind of do something like paneling. Okay, let's duplicate this piece around. Let's see how it looks like, and I think it's going to be pretty good. And let's see if we could add some other detail here. You could also so when I smooth this going to add to this kind of adds some kind of like organic bump in there. This is kind of too strong. What we could do is scale it down, and you could pull it up a little bit like that. So that will pop up our geo more, and it kind of looks like it kind of like made of a metal structure. So now I'm going to add one more detail. I'm going to do it at the end. So now if we mirror it on the other side, make sure you're in object mode, then scale it up. So it's going to be -1, and merge everything, freeze the transformation and merge everything, and go to your snap to grid, insert, and snap it to the grid, and duplicate on the other side. So there you go. So now we made like a nice shape, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be really good. It's gonna pop up really good when we texture it. We would have made this shape a little bit interesting, but let's see how it looks like. I'm just going to do a test see if it's gonna work. Actually, it kind of worked because I want something like that. For now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to save it there. So boom, right there. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So as we know, we're going to do one side and we're going to duplicate another side. So we're going to have that concept here. So if I smooth it, boom, right there. So it kind of like added a little bit of tiny detail to break this surface even further. I'm not sure I added the detail on the exact position, but I'm not worried about it now. Let's add. You could see even the paneling details is pretty good as well. So we could add some texturing details in there, and to break this surface even further, what I'm going to do, this is the last detail I'm going to add in this piece, and I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to do something like that, and just pull this up so it kind of looks like a sci-fi detail. So what I could do is go here, go here, go here, and extrude it in. So once I extrude it in, it's gonna create this shape in there. So now what I could do, I can duplicate this piece. This is the technique I usually really often in my production company. So now I have that piece separated, so I could pull that back. And now if you see, we could scale it down a little bit. Then you could add any details you want. And I'm gonna smooth this once. Hopefully it's smooth through well, and I'm making sure everything works fine. From here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some paneling, like some kind of like paneling details here. It's not exactly in the center, so you have to be careful when you're adding details. But there you go. So what I'm doing now here is like I'm adding some loops. This will help to hold my geometry really good. You will see in a second. So I'm going to delete. So if I smooth this, so it's going to have some kind of effect to it, but once I extrude it, I'm going to add the loops and we'll go from there. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some kind of detail here. So I'm going to extrude it. I'm going to extrude it again. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this and rotate it around. It should be rotating the other way around, so I'm going to select that. I'm going to component mode and I'm going to deselect like that. So now we have it there. Now I could just pull a little bit in. So once I smooth it, boom, right there. So but now we could add some detailing here to maintain that shape. It kind of went wonky there, but so I'm going to go and fix it, or else what you could do is you could model one side and mirror on the other side. Let's see how it worked out on this side. Even my my geo kind of went wonky. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back, I'm going to fix this piece. The easiest way to do is, instead of doing this, what you could do is just add the detail. So this is another way you could do it as well, and make sure it's kind of like triangles. Everything is work this way. So once you have it, now you could go and pull it in. So now it's kind of on the surface. Now you could add some loops here and there. Then you could merge it right there. So now if I smooth it, see, it kind of like add the details. So it's kind of pretty good. I kind of like it. So the same way here, I'm gonna go here. So now what I could do is I could add like supporting loops here. So now if I smooth it, it's going to have like a perfect nice detail there. The other way to this is other technique I use, not that often. This might work sometime it doesn't. So what I did is I extracted that face, and so I'm going to replace that face with this face. But if you see, it didn't work because the angle is different, right? In order to do that, there is something called snap together tool in Maya, so that will be really useful. The snap together tool, so what this snap together tool does is it just snaps to the plane where you're pointing to. So I'm going to show in a different tutorial. This is not the right tutorial to show it. Now if you see, it kind of worked, but it's reversed, so I'm not worried about it. So it's going to be the same on the other side. So so I'm going here and deleting all my faces. Then take this piece and just snap it wherever you want. So I'm gonna combine it. Yeah, I'm gonna combine it. Then I'm going to go to target vertices, target weld tool. Suddenly I forget what the tool is called, so that's why I was blabbering about it. So anyway, so once I have it, so the last part is here. Once I have it, like boom, right there. It kind of looked cool. So I'm gonna merge that. So now if you see, it kind of worked at the end, so I kind of like it, but still there is some kind of artifacts happening here because the plane is not perfectly straight to my geo. I could fix that, but you know what, I'm just gonna put a little bit in. No, So the old geo, there you go. So now if I smooth it, it's gonna have a nice structure there. So let's extrude it out because it doesn't have that. So then I'm gonna deselect the edges and I'm gonna bridge it. Boom, right there. So now we have this kind of like a panel inside a panel. If I smooth it, it's gonna be sitting there. You could make this a little bit interesting by adding some kind of loop in there, because I don't want my geo to go in all the way in. So I'm going to add some kind of thickness, so I'm adding a loop there so it doesn't chip in that much. So there you go. I'm also going to add so there you go. So now if I smooth it, it's going to have this detail in there. So I'm gonna scale it up. I'm gonna bring it a little bit. So I'm just changing and making sure it's sitting on the right plane. So I'm gonna bring it a little bit out, so it's kind of there. So if I smooth it, boom, right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some kind of hard edges to it. So now that will pop up a little bit more. So now if I smooth it, boom, right there. You know, I didn't like the shape at the bottom. It kind of looks like what does it look like? It kind of looks like a cookie dough. So I'm going to add a loop in there. So that kind of helped. So I want something to add in here as well. So what I could do is I could do something like this. So that's gonna hold up my shape. Then I'm going to do the same thing here as well. So now go to target with tool and just snap it right into make it a triangle. So my mesh is smoother. So now if I smooth it, you could see it kind of have a hard edge at the bottom. You could also make it quad by adding a loop in there, so that will help. But it's up to you. Boom, right there. It's a squad now. But I want to have some kind of smoother transition, so I left a triangle there. I'm not worried about anything. So now if I go here, so it's going to break the surface pretty good. I kind of like it. Actually, we could also pull it in if you want. So that adds a little bit of complication in the piece. So that's going to add some kind of details in here as well. So that's it, guys. So I'm not going to add any more details in my mesh other than this, and so I'm going to add some more panel lines here, then I'm going to call it a day. So to add a panel line, it's the same concept. So I'm going to go on the top view and work on one side and delete other sides. So the panel lines, it's gonna be from here to here, here. So it's right there. So now what I'm going to, I'm just do a bevel. So it's going to add some kind of like a bevel there, but it need to be super tiny. So I'm going to say 1. I'm going to say 0.5. So there you go. So now I could go here the same thing, collapse the edge because I want to be quartz, or else we're gonna get a weird artifacts when we smooth this mesh. So now when we smooth it, this is gonna be cleaner, but as soon as we so there you go. So now I added some kind of detail in there. So now if I smooth it, it's going to have this panel details, but make sure you add some supporting loops, or else it won't hold up and you will get weird artifacts. And have some edge variations on everything because that's important. That's going to pop up your details more. So now you see it's kind of rounding off, but I don't want to have that, so I'm adding like a crisp edge loop there, so that will help to hold up the panel details. So this kind of looks a little bit hard from here, but when I mirror it, so it's going to look awesome. So when I smooth this mesh, so when I smooth it, you could see it kind of looks pretty good. If I bring the detail, so everything looks different from everything, so that's the most important thing. But the only last detail I'm gonna add for sure, this would be my last detail for sure. I'm not gonna add any more detail from this point, so this is gonna be the last one, I promise, guys. So now what I could do is so same thing I'm gonna do at the top here as well, because I don't want to spend time on doing all the sides, so it would be easier. You know what, because I can't do that because since we have asymmetry here, I'm not going to do that. So actually it's easier this way. So I'm going to select everything, hit 4, and I'm going to deselect here. So now I have something like that. So now I could go and hide certain areas I don't want. I'm just selecting random because I don't want to be even. So every face looks different, so it's kind of like asymmetry in the model. So now I'm just gonna pull it in. Since my grid is on, it's kind of freaking out. So there you go. So now I have it. So if I smooth this, it's going to have something like that. But to fix that, we should have done this in IR subdivision, but I did it here. But anyway, it's not gonna cause any problem anyway. So there you go. To avoid the stretch here, what we could do is we could add a loop right there and add a loop right here and go here on the top view. So add a loop inside. So now if I smooth it, oh, it's other way around. I should be adding a loop on the other side than inside. So now if I go here, do the same thing here as well. So I'm just adding a loop here to make a supporting loop. So once I have it there, I'm going to go and delete all the edges I don't want. So these are the edges I don't want. So now we have a loop there, so that will control our edge flow. We won't have the hard artifact. You can see, as you can see, let's add one more loop in there, so that will hold up the shape pretty good, so we don't have that stretch anymore. So there you go, guys. But I'm kind of not liking this piece, so it's not a big deal. Once I don't like any piece, I just go back and fix it. Simple as that. It's kind of like so what I try to do is I select all the edges and I did a bridge. So there you go, boom. So I fixed it in a minute, so it's not a big deal. So once I subdivide it furthermore, I'm gonna add those details, so it will hold up pretty good. So that's it, guys. So I'm gonna see if I could add any more details. At this point, I think I'm going to call it a day, and this would be the last part for modeling. And if any other detailing in this part, I'll do it on my spare time, and we will start the texturing. But I want to show the UVing as well, so I will make a video, a quick video of how to do the UVs fast and efficient way. And if you have any doubts on UVing, you know, I will have a link in my description. You guys can go and check it out. It's called Fast and Efficient Way to Do UVs in 2017. To recap everything, we all modeled everything. We modeled panel lines. We also had a lot of details in our mesh. And if you really like this tutorial, please like, subscribe, and comment below. And if you have any other questions, please write me at 3dmuser@gmail.com. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one, and thanks for watching.